So I remember when I was in high school and I was the school mascot. I ran track. I dated girls. And then at some point when I was 16 or 17 years old, I realized that I was gay. And it was a great revelation for me. It brought me a lot of relief. But at the same time, word got out that I was a homosexual. And so the last year of high school was actually a very difficult time for me because people would whisper in halls, people would make gestures, and actually it actually got around to people that I really respected, people like my pastor who actually confronted me and said, you know, people are talking about you, and and it made me feel like I was really alone. This pastor who accepted me and said, you know, you have to find your way, and this is probably not the place where you want to stay. You might want to go to California, which is what I ended up doing. And so to any kid out there who is questioning or wondering whether he or she fits in or can endure the kind of name calling and and the battering that goes on as you're struggling to find your identity, just know that it does get better, you know, and that there are people out there who genuinely care and want to help you, and know that that they have been where you are. I have been there. I have been where you are, and it does get better.
My name is James, and I'm 43 years old and happily gay. And I'm here to tell you whatever you're dealing with, it gets better. I was that smart, sensitive, slightly weird kid growing up, and I was picked on, I was bullied, I was set aside. And when I was 14, 15, 16, I didn't think I was ever going to fit in. I didn't think I'd ever be accepted. And I thought about killing myself. I thought about ending that pain. And I gotta tell you, I'm so glad I didn't. I've had an amazing life. I have a family who loves and accepts me. I've got friends who are amazing. And I've had some of the most phenomenal love that you could possibly experience in your world. And so I'm glad I made the choices that I made. Because I'm here, and I'm happy, and I'm hoping you will be too. It gets better. I promise.
So bullying for me started in the second grade, and it was because I couldn't play sports. Pretty much went up until my senior year in high school, and it was pretty awful. I hated my life. I hated myself. I knew that I was gay, and I knew that other kids knew that I was gay. It did start to get better once I got out of high school. Um, I went to college and met some other kids who were from bigger cities. They were more open-minded, and I eventually was able to come out to them. And I've had a great life ever since. I think as an adult, I meet other adults who may have been as people who picked on kids when they were kids. And some of them are still pretty small-minded, and as an adult you just stay away from them. But then I think others of them have since grown up, and you're able to make friends with them. And yeah, it just gets better. And you meet other people who were also picked on, and you get to laugh about it a little bit, as strange as that may seem. But you've got people who understand where you're coming from. Um, and you just get to live a full life. and you get to live it on your own terms eventually as an adult. So just hang in there, and it will get better.
I'm David, and this is my story. Grade school was a total nightmare for me. I hung out with the girls. I didn't understand sports. I was very much ostracized. I was the fat kid when no one was the fat kid. Now it's very different. And people just tormented me to death. It was just terrible. Even to the point where my mother had to go into the dean and just yell at her to actually do something about it. I just didn't really know why I was different, but I always knew I was, and it was quite clear to everybody else that I was in some way. It was terrible. But as I got older, a lot of that stopped, thankfully. But, the battle scars are still there. But I always felt really out of place. I didn't know why I was different. I was even the only left-handed person in my family and pretty much my entire grade. And then I remember I was 22 and I moved to New York City. And I was going to a gay gym, and everyone was just doing their thing and being out and doing, having fun. And there were all these left-handed people there, and I just almost cried. I'm like, I finally found people like me. And that was such an amazing feeling. It was just hugely liberating that, yes, I'm really different from most people, but there are people like me out there. And I think, if anything, that's really the hope that I can provide, is it does get better. There are people out there like you, and you hold on and you move to places like San Francisco or New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, other gay meccas. You will find people just like you, and it will be better. Trust me, I know.
I'm 22 years old, and it does get better. High school wasn't that long ago for me. It was just a couple years ago, and I remember being terrified for anyone to find out. I had a crush on one of my friends, and we were both in the drama theater program after school, and it was great. We were hanging out. I finally told him about it, and it did kind of unravel in kind of one of the worst ways. He tried to get me expelled from school. Him and his friends would kind of be in their little group, and as I walked by, they'd tease me or throw stuff at me and everything. And it was horrible. Once I was able to, I left home. I grew up in a really small town. Went out to San Francisco because I thought that's where all the gays went, and that everything would be all rainbows and unicorn. But, got here, went to art school, and just, you start meeting a lot of new people and realizing that all the prejudices and all the negativity is not so widespread. I made a lot of great friends. A lot of people started opening up to me. I mean, you don't know the extent of how you touch other people's lives. There's a lot of things that you can't see right now, but I promise you it does get better once you go out there and realize how big the world is, and how how your experiences kind of shaped you. You do become a stronger person, and there's so many great things out there that you have to look forward to.